All right, hola Barcelona, right? I'm Tom Snyder. Glad to be here. Thank you to KNX for inviting me to join. And let's see, I guess my slides will come up here in a moment. But I founded Riot about 9 years ago now to focus on kind of the intersection of the entrepreneurial world and startup world, the opportunity that IoT brings, and then how do you connect to established players, to standards organizations, other kinds of organizations. And I'm here to talk today a little bit about collaboration at scale. And I want to start with a little bit of history about some ancient history through to where we are at the present. But just real quickly again, Riot, we're based in the United States. We believe we're the largest organization of our kind, intersecting entrepreneurship and IoT and big industry. I will be here all day. I'm happy to talk about that later, but we're really here to talk about startups. And so let's start with this history lesson I talked about. When we look at technology, tech-driven entrepreneurship, you have to go back about 800,000 years to when we first learned how to make tools out of stone, right? And it took on the order of 26,000 generations for us to get to bronze, right? And then we took a much faster leap forward, maybe about 550 or so generations to get to iron, right? And now we were really starting to do interesting things to kind of take control of the world that we lived in, to be able to do things that just hadn't been possible before we developed these technologies. If you move much, much further forward to the state of North Carolina, where I live, the Wright brothers first got us, off the ground in 1903. And it took less than 66 years until we suddenly were on the moon. So we're seeing this acceleration in how quickly new technologies emerge and develop, right? If you get closer to this IoT audience that's online and here in the room, of course, we start to think about connectivity and we think about wireless, right? And the first generation of cellular was 1979. It took 21 years to get to 2G, and then only 7 more years to get to that first iPhone. It's amazing to think that the iPhone was only 15, 16 years ago, right? It took half the time from 1G to 2G to get to 3G, and 4G was faster, and we keep accelerating. Things are happening faster and faster and faster. And even when we think about those really pivotal technology shifts that we call industrial revolutions, they're coming faster and faster. And we believe we're in kind of the early stages of this fourth industrial revolution right now, which is IoT, right? And so all of you in the audience, I presume, are already familiar here, so I don't need to spend a lot of time on this. But what I fundamentally believe is kind of the core difference of IoT from, say, IT, right? This information technology was this third industrial revolution. It's really about time. It's about that in the information age, we had all the information available in our devices, right? At any moment, you can do a search, you can pull up some information. IoT is about data, the instant it's created, being used to automate something. So I think about IoT really as being the age of automation. We're automating the energy grid. We're automating our food supply. We're automating our healthcare systems and the way that we manage our health. All of this automation is about time. And so as things are happening really, really fast, and there's lots of technology involved, it's really important to collaborate. And if you think about IoT in the way that we view the world, we think of this as this umbrella over which there are tremendous numbers of other, 3-4 letter acronyms, technology buzzwords, whatever you may say. But if we're going to master this economy, the point of all these technologies that are scrolling behind me is that there's a lot to figure out. No organization has the size or scale to kind of do all of the above and to be expert at all of the above. No startup company can either, right? But all of these technologies play together in this automated future, whether it's the automation of the homes and things that the KNX technologies enable or other use cases. But it comes back to this data that leads to automation. All right. So with that in mind, how do we grow and create the new IoT economy, things that are going to look, complete industries are going to look very different from how they did in the IT age. And of course, how are we going to make money off of this, right? This is ultimately what the private industry side of IoT cares about. And so the strategies that we've really pioneered at Riot and driven is around how do you do what, it might be easy for a beverage company to do, to say, we're going to be really, really big, but still nimble, right? Or we're going to be really, really small, but still powerful, right? That's marketing and branding. We know that large organizations don't just change on a dime, right? You've been making money a certain way for a long time. It's hard to say, let's stop making money that way and start making money a different way, right? You have to cannibalize your own businesses to change. And for startups can move fast. They can experiment, they can try things, but they don't have the power really to grow and scale, right? And so it's when you bring this combination of things together that you can be successful. And that's really the focus. And I think when you look at what are all the tools in that Swiss Army knife of innovation entrepreneurship, accelerator programs are kind of at the core. And I'm biased, right? It runs accelerators. We work with startups. Increasingly, we're working with corporate innovation teams that are using a startup curriculum to vet kind of new ideas, and we're excited about that. But what you get when you have this kind of interconnectedness in the entrepreneurial community is you get the diversity of skills and talents across all those technologies that I just talked about, across the different market sectors that we want to work in. And you have kind of neutral organizations like accelerators that can help to, kind of shepherd those conversations, move them forward in productive ways. Because each of us in this room have one of these superpowers, but we're much stronger when we're all working together, right? And when you're working in these entrepreneurial communities, this is where, the serendipitous connections happen in co-working spaces and at networking events and other things happen kind of regularly. If you're working from home in a big industry right now, you're missing a lot of this. There's connections that need to be made, whether it's in the virtual space or in person. And the entrepreneurial communities that are moving fast, the startups that are trying things very quickly, these are some of the tools at their disposal. Like KNX, Riot has an industry consortium of partners, mostly large organizations that have technology platforms that realize the startups that grow and scale, they're going to need somebody's cloud, right? We're not going to reinvent the cloud. We're not reinventing, our connectivity network. So, of course, technologies are evolving these things, but it's important for the big industries to come into play because they are the ones not only that can provide some of the other technologies on top of what the startups can do, but they can also act as a sales channel and help companies to scale. So when we see those first applications, and we're going to hear from them, about a few of them from some of the startups that are presenting, and if you've had a chance to speak to some of them out on the floor, we can now start to plant some seeds. We can make some investments. We can start to grow. And it's about kind of bringing these collaborations together around, neutral organizations like a KNX, like a Riot. I think the last piece of the puzzle, though, is that if we really want to make this a huge industry, it's not about one or two little startups, some of which will grow to become big companies. It's about doing some things with standards and interoperability. I was fortunate early in my career in the early 90s to work at Ericsson at the time that the company invented Bluetooth. And there were pretty deep discussions about whether or not to take this low power radio protocol and keep it as an internal proprietary technology to develop on, to profit off of, to block other entrants into the market, or should we open it up? Should we share it with Nokia? That was the big competitor to Ericsson at the time. Do we share it, with our biggest competitors? Because we realize there's an opportunity to have more manufacturers, to have multiple entrants, to really grow and dominate a market. And as y'all know, the decision was to open this up as a standard. And it was important because there was a killer app that really launched the standard. And that killer app was the headset. So we had this kind of combination of a really interesting new technology that we're going to open up for anyone to use ourselves or our competitors or the startup community. We're going to grow and make it popular because all of a sudden everybody wanted to wear one of these headsets. It took out, does anybody remember like Ant Plus? Was a competing technology. There were a number of other low power radio protocols, but because they stayed proprietary, they didn't open up, they didn't collaborate around use cases. From that headset, we got to the point now where, there's all kinds of Bluetooth applications that could never have even been imagined. And so I see a lot of similarities between, the work that we've done kind of broadly at Riot to connect, large industry technology platform providers, startup companies that are developing all the different use cases. And what we've seen in the KNX community is we've gotten to know them as we've started this partnership together. And I think what's really exciting is that you're going to see from several of the startups that are here, they're working on some of these killer apps. And there's already an established set of technologies and standards and things that KNX has developed that enable the right killer apps to really grow and to scale in a collaborative ecosystem. And so I'm really excited that we have this partnership. We hope to grow this partnership. Happy to work with any organizations that they're out here that would like to engage in some way, whether that's getting involved in mentoring with startups, whether that's you have an internal innovation idea and looking for the right outside resources to help kind of poke holes in it, ask the hard questions, drive things forward. But in the spirit of when we collaborate and grow this industry, it absolutely creates the rising tide effect of more and more opportunity kind of across the board. So with that, I have one slide on who we are. I'm not going to go through this in any detail. I'll be available kind of after the event for anybody that wants to speak about it. But our focus really is economic development. We believe that tech jobs are the best jobs at some level. And I'm biased, I'm an engineer. As we can create great tech jobs, those core tech industries create a halo effect of other jobs for those in our communities. And what we're doing in IoT, what we're seeing in home automation, specifically other places, are things that are improving the quality of our lives while also creating new opportunities and kind of future-proof opportunities. And so we are happy to work with any organizations that share that same kind of mindset of how do we work together to the betterment of both our industry, our society, and most importantly, ourselves as people in that. So with that, thank you. I hope this has been helpful. You can reach out to us in any way that you'd like. You can reach us through our KNX friends. Thank you again for those that are joining online, for those that are here in the audience, and to KNX.